It's May, and that means the garden season is really kicking off. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Boss. I'm a gardener and a lover of all things spicy. Today it is May 1st, and so I'm going to share with you the top 3 things that I do every May to set my garden up for success. And so the very first thing that I'm going to do in May, and I mean like today, May 1st, I'm going to be direct sowing a bunch of seeds. I do this because there's certain varieties that I don't want to start indoors for various reasons. Either they don't transplant well, or it's just a bunch of flowers that I don't have space for, and I know they'll grow fast enough and give me some color in the garden later in the season. Truth is, I want to attract pollinators when my pepper plants and my tomato plants have flowers, which is not during May. So I don't really need to worry too much about having early season color other than it looks nice. So for that, I will actually go buy, some marigolds and some other things from the garden center and transplant those out early season, just again to make it look nice. You want a pretty garden in May. But I'm going to direct sow these things as well. So I have a bunch of different marigold types that I will direct sow to have some color later in the season. I have a bunch of sunflowers that I like to grow, especially these, what are they? These ones, the double sun king. They put on these big, like Dr. Seuss looking truffula tree heads. They're beautiful. As well as some things like gomphrena. I have Chinese wallflower. Even though these do a pretty good job of self-seeding for me, I always add more because they're also really cool. I grow zinnias every year. Again, they just look great and they attract pollinators later in the season. So these are all going out May 1st, along with things like melons, right? I'll probably start a few cucumbers to start climbing a vine up over a trellis I have. I'm going to be starting one of my favorite melons, Ajiland. This one is very cantaloupe-like, but a little bit sweeter, much juicier, really good melon. Some Blacktail Mountain watermelons. These grow pretty darn fast. I've had success with this variety in my short growing season here in Colorado. So yeah, May 1st. It seems a little early, but my average last frost date is May 4th, just a few days away. I'm looking at my forecast right now. The lowest temp we're seeing anytime soon is 38 degrees overnight, and so I feel pretty good about putting these out. As the soil warms up and the conditions are right, they'll germinate when they're ready. So the second thing that I'm doing, starting today on May 1st, is hardening off my plants. You might also hear this process called acclimation or acclimating your plants to outdoors, but I've usually referred to it as hardening off because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make your plants hard, tough, right? Ready to face the elements that are your backyard garden. I start all of these things indoors, as you know, if you've been watching my channel, right? I started these back in February. I've got months of time and care invested into these peppers and tomatoes and other flowers and things that I have, right? I want to make sure that they are thriving out in my garden. If I just take them out of my grow tent and put them outside, plant them, they're all going to die probably, or really, really suffer. They're going to get sunburned. They're going to get damaged by the wind, maybe some broken stems. They're not ready to just drop right outside coming from a great environment like my grow tent. Now my grow light seems really bright. Like if I have the door open and I look in that general direction, the reflection coming out of that thing blinds me. But it's nothing compared to the sun. Now there's exceptions to every rule, as always, right? Depending where you plant your garden out and what time of year you do it, the sun may be only hitting it at less intense times a day right now. But if you're putting them someplace where they're getting like a direct southern exposure at noon, odds are you're gonna cook them. So hardening off, super important. How do I do it? Well, basically I just take my trays of plants upstairs out to my yard. I like to keep them close to the house. I'm gonna put them out for maybe an hour, 2 hours that first day. If I do it further away from the noon hour, so if I do it either earlier in the morning or later in the afternoon, so maybe I start it at 6 a.m., I can leave them out there till about 10:30, 11 o'clock that first day. If they're not getting that super direct, harsh sunlight, they do pretty good. The key is just to keep an eye on them. That first day, you're gonna do it for a couple of hours, maybe up to 3 or 4, depending on how much sunlight they're getting and how direct it is. You want to keep a really close eye on how the wind is hitting them in case you need to put some stakes in your seedling pots to make sure that they don't break. But other than that, you want to let them kind of blow in the wind and get a little bit of that exposure to get used to it. That'll actually strengthen the stem, make them tougher and harder. What's happening with your leaves when you're hardening off though is pretty neat. The sunlight that hits them causes a response from the plant and they actually get thicker leaves. So they build kind of like a coating or a layer of built-in sunscreen, if you will. They adjust to the sunlight. It's pretty cool. So after that, every day you really need to take them back out, get them longer and more exposure to the sun. After 2 or 3 days, You can usually take them out during that midday time period, but for a shorter amount of time. So maybe on day 3 or 4, I'll be taking them out right at 11 o'clock and then pulling them back in probably by 1, just getting them that direct southern high noon sunlight. After that, they respond quick. I will notice specifically, like I said, the leaves get thicker, they get tougher. You'll notice that when you put them out, they don't start to wilt as much. If they're really dry, you might see wilting leaves from that wind, right? So make sure that you water them when you're hardening them off as well. I like to just bottom water each tray, set it out, and then let them soak that up while they're getting their sunshine and wind. Really important process. I'll probably do a full video on it maybe if I can convince myself to let the neighbors see me filming in my backyard. It's always a little weird. So don't skip that step, it's super important. And there's one more thing that you're gonna be doing in May in most parts of North America, and that is planting out. Planting out is the third thing that I'm gonna be doing for sure this May. I'm also doing a few other side projects like rebuilding my entire drip irrigation so that when I do plant out in about a week or a week and a half from now, I will be well positioned to actually water my plants in an easy way. But planting out is one of the most exciting steps of your garden every year, right? So you wanna make sure that you do this correctly. Again, be sure that you've hardened your plants off. Make sure there's no chance of a freeze or a frost coming, and you have nighttime temps that are, around 50 degrees or higher. So depending on what you're transplanting into, the processes are all pretty similar, right? Whether it's in ground or into a bed or into grow bags or other containers, you're going to make sure that your soil is already amended and rich and full of organic matter and all the good stuff that plants like. You may or may not choose to add mycorrhizae right to the planting hole of each plant that you transplant. But just bury them in, bury that whole root ball. If you're planting pepper plants, like I'm gonna be doing 170 times in about a week. Don't bury them too deep though. You don't wanna add a bunch of new soil over that stem. Just kind of get those roots down and in a hole that is just deep enough for those. Make sure they're not too root bound from the pot. If you need to, you can break those roots up a little bit, but get them out there, get them watered in, and enjoy your garden. Make sure you label everything really well though. The last thing you wanna do is plant the whole garden out and go, oh, I don't know what anything is. And when you tell yourself, oh no, I'll remember that one, you won't, believe me. Label everything, make sure you have a plan. I draw a map when I'm doing mine, just that then I can translate it to a map in a spreadsheet because I'm a huge nerd. But it makes your life a lot easier if you do this while you go and don't try and remember anything. Not even one plant to another. Label every plant. Don't be like, oh, I'll remember these next 3. No, just do it as you go. That's it for this video, keeping it short because May is a very, very busy time for me in the garden. I have a ton of work to do today and tomorrow and the next day. And really until, harvest time and tear down in the fall. So I'm looking forward to it. This is gonna be an awesome garden year for me. I hope it is for you as well. Remember, plants help us grow.